My sister has leukemia and needs a lot of money for her surgery. I had no choice but to become a host at the Oasis Club to earn it for her. A client, Ms. Hayes, requested Leo to drink with her, but she only had me sing off to the side for entertainment. After my shift, this volatile young woman actually voice called me, asking me to sing to her until dawn. She offered $5,000 for one night. For my sister's medical bills, I agreed to her strange request. But when she had to choose between me and Leo, she deleted my contact without a second thought. She said I was just a substitute, someone to sing her to sleep. The first time Diana Hayes visited the Oasis, she took an immediate liking to Leo. She chose him to drink with her, but also requested me to be there, just to sing for ambience. In their private room, she confessed to him, "Leo, I've liked you for a long time. Will you be my boyfriend?" Leo turned her down. "I appreciate the offer, Ms. Hayes, but my job is just to drink with you." While they went back and forth with their drama, I was stuck in the corner singing for them like some background character. The song was Under Mount Fuji, her request. After one time through, Diana turned and ordered me, "Don't change the song. Just keep singing that one." On repeat. I was groaning internally. What was her obsession with Under Mount Fuji? Diana and Leo argued for another half hour before she finally lost her patience. "Fine, you only drink, is that it? Then you're going to drink until you drop tonight." She pointed to the rows of shot glasses on the table. "Drink," she told Leo. "Let's see what your limit is. $1,000 tip for every shot you take." Listening from the side, my eyes lit up. Why couldn't I get an offer like that? I'd drink for that. $1,000 a shot. What a ridiculous windfall. Leo clearly felt the same way because he started downing them without a word. By the 10th shot, he couldn't handle it anymore and ran out, hand over his mouth, to throw up. Diana just leaned back on the sofa with her legs crossed, looking thoroughly unimpressed. I cautiously approached her. "Ms. Hayes, how about I drink in his place? I'll do it for 500 shot." Without even looking at me, she snapped, "Get back to singing, and don't stop." When Leo returned, he drank like his life depended on it, downing more than 20 shots and walking away with over $20,000 in tips. Meanwhile, I sang Under Mount Fuji dozens of times until my throat was raw and my tip was just over 1,000. The comparison was brutal. For the next few days, Diana came in every night for Leo, spending over $10,000 each time. But even with all that money, Leo still refused to be her boyfriend. Then, suddenly, Diana stopped coming. It seemed she'd given up. I teased Leo about it. "Man, you really broke that poor girl's heart." Leo, applying foundation, just shrugged. "Whatever. I've got plenty of clients. I won't miss one." Such a humble brag. But Leo had the looks to back it up. He was handsome, skilled with makeup, and cultivated a cool, aloof persona that the female clients found irresistible. One morning, I got home, so exhausted I could have passed out on the floor. Just then, my phone buzzed with a voice call. I looked. It was Diana. Her voice was soft, almost pleading. "I can't sleep. Sing for me. I'll pay you." I was stunned for a second. Was this really happening? But she mentioned money, so I agreed. "Okay, Ms. Hayes, what would you like to hear?" "Under Mount Fuji." I frowned. That song again. What was her fixation with it? Was she some kind of super fan of the artist? Whatever. As long as the money was good, the client's request was my command. I cleared my throat. "The rain that blocks the path is like snow. Are you cold as you weep?" A few minutes later, I finished the song. She commanded, "Keep singing. Don't stop. Even after I fall asleep, don't stop." This was insane. You couldn't even work a mule that hard. I was about to refuse, but then a notification for a $2,000 transfer popped up. "If I can still hear you singing when I wake up," she added, "I'll send another 3,000. I pursed my lips and silently accepted the money. This was more than I'd make in days at the Oasis. For that $5,000, I sang that song over and over until I felt sick. I lost count of the repetitions. By the time the sky outside began to lighten, her voice came through the phone again. "Okay, I'm awake. You can stop now." Thank God. I was finally free. After we hung up, she sent the other $3,000. I slept really well. Thank you. Seeing that message, I felt a small warmth in my chest. At the same time, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. The truth was, her precious Leo was already being kept by a wealthy businesswoman in her 40s. He only worked shifts at the Oasis when she was busy. When the businesswoman was free, he was with her. He was making money from both sides and had already saved up a small fortune. His goal was to save enough to buy a house outright. A guy that focused on his goal was never going to fall for a young girl like Diana. I'd even asked him about it once. "Diana is young, beautiful, and rich, and she's crazy about you. You're really not going to consider it." Leo lit a cigarette. "I've been in this business for years. In my experience, girls like Diana aren't actually rich. They're just playing around with their parents' allowance. See, She burned through her cash, and now she's gone. He exhaled a cloud of smoke, a look of weary cynicism on his handsome face. I didn't tell Leo what was really going on with Diana. She clearly wasn't out of money. She was calling me every single morning to sing under Mount Fuji. 2,000 before I started, 3,000 more when she woke up. It sounds like easy money, but it was grueling. I've been pulling all-nighters for days, and I don't know how I was still standing. Sometimes when I was about to nod off, I'd have to pinch my own thigh hard. But I had no choice. I had to grab this opportunity. A month later, I wired money to my mom. "How's sis doing?" I asked. She sighed, "I have it by now." "Not good. The doctor says she needs to switch to an imported drug, and it's going to cost a lot more." That meant I had to work even harder. I started taking side gigs, accompanying clients to parties and events for extra cash. At night, I had my regular shift singing at the Oasis. Then I'd get home in the early hours and sing for Diana until she fell asleep. After 2 weeks of this, I'd saved up a good amount, but I was running on fumes. I'd start dozing off any chance I got. That night, a new client came to the Oasis. She was very generous, calling over several of us hosts to drink and sing with her. "I'll give you $888 for every drink you finish," she announced. The moment I heard that, all my fatigue vanished. Me and the other guys started fighting over the drinks like a pack of starving wolves. The next thing I knew, I was waking up, and it was almost noon. I had completely blacked out. Oh crap, the song. I shot up in bed. I opened my iMessage and saw a flood of texts from Diana, sent throughout the night. She had tried to voice call me a dozen times. I quickly texted her back. "I'm so sorry, Ms. Hayes. I drank way too much last night and passed out. I didn't mean to ghost you." It took a long time for her to reply. "How much do they have to pay you to get that drunk?" I frowned. It felt like a loaded question. I replied, cautiously, "It's just part of the job, you know?" Laughing crying emoji. She pressed further. "Why are you in this line of work?" I texted back, "I need the money. It's a living, nothing to be ashamed of. It's shameful and pathetic." She sounded furious, or maybe she was just mocking me. I didn't know what to say, so I just sent a polite, smiley face and left it at that. To my surprise, she called me again that night, and the first thing she did was apologize. "I am sorry. I couldn't sleep at all last night, so I was cranky today. I said some awful things. Please don't take it personally." I was a little taken aback. In my line of work, you get used to being looked down on by rich girls like her. "It's fine," I said. "You weren't wrong. I'm only doing this because I have to. By the way, I've been meaning to ask, why do you love that Under Mount Fuji song so much?" She was quiet for a moment before answering. "Your voice sounded a lot like my father's. When I was a little girl and couldn't sleep, he used to sing that song to me." "Oh, I see. So it was her lullaby." It seemed like she had insomnia every night and needed this song to have any chance of sleeping. I guess the rich have their own problems. All I knew was that I was so sleep-deprived I could have slept for 3 days straight. She laughed. "You don't think I have a father complex or something, do you?" Huh? I was confused. That thought hadn't even crossed my mind. "Don't worry. I'm not picturing you as my dad. It's just, I haven't seen him in a very long time, and your voice reminds me of him." "Where is he?" "I don't know. He moved abroad, changed his number. I can't find him anymore." She said it so matter-of-factly, but I could feel the sadness underneath. It made me think of my own sister. She's only 18, about Diana's age. She was a student with a bright future ahead of her. Then, right at the start of her senior year of high school, she collapsed. The hospital diagnosed her with leukemia. At the time, I was in college, studying for the GRE. When I found out my sister was sick, I was frantic. I couldn't focus on studying at all. All I could think about was how to make money. I tried some part-time jobs, but they were too slow, only bringing in a couple thousand a month. I need a lot of money fast. That's why I started at the Oasis. Soon after, I dropped out of college. 2 months into the job, I sent a large sum of money home. When my parents asked where it came from, I was vague and just said I had a part-time singing gig. All I cared about was saving my sister's life. Nothing else mattered. For the better part of a year, I'd been living like a money-making machine. But through my conversations with Diana, I felt something in my numb soul begin to stir. After Diana finished her story about her father, we both fell silent. After a moment, she suddenly asked, "Are you free for lunch tomorrow? I'd like to take you out." I felt a flicker of excitement. She was actually asking me out. But I quickly composed myself. "Booking me for lunch or an event requires a fee," I told her. "Please," she said dismissively. "That's nothing. I've got money." For our meeting, I deliberately dressed down in a t-shirt and jeans like I used to in college. I didn't want to wear anything flashy that would remind her of my job at the Oasis. We agreed to meet in the middle of the plaza. She was already there when I arrived, sitting on a planter and scrolling through her phone. With her slender figure and stylish clothes, She stood out from the crowd. Diana, have you been waiting long? It's fine, I just got here. As she spoke, she naturally took my hand and started pulling me through the flow of people. I looked down at her back as she led the way, and for a moment, she reminded me of my sister. My sister used to love holding my hand and pulling me along just like that when she was little. She got shy about it as she got older, the whole boy-girl thing. Then I went away to college, and I barely got to see her. That little rascal was always pestering me to get a girlfriend, telling me she had to be prettier than her, or she wouldn't approve. Looking at Diana, I couldn't help but wonder if she were my girlfriend, my sister would definitely approve. Whoa, hold on. Frank, what are you thinking? This is a job. You're here to make money. Diana is a client. Don't get any stupid ideas. During lunch, Diana was in great spirits, telling me all sorts of stories. I was enjoying myself, but then her tone shifted. Frank, can I ask you something? Why won't Leo give me a chance? Has he ever said anything to you? I froze. My good mood evaporated, so she was still hung up on Leo. A strange annoyance crept into me, and I told her bluntly, there's a super VIP client at the club, a businesswoman named Ms. Thompson. If you had her kind of money, you could have Leo. Hearing this, Diana just gave a resigned smile. The rest of the lunch fell flat. After we parted ways, I went home for a nap before getting ready for my shift at the Oasis. At 10 that night, Diana showed up at the Oasis. Unfortunately for her, Leo was out with Ms. Thompson. But then Diana said, I'm here for you tonight. I was a little surprised, but at this point, she was a familiar face and a good tipper, so I didn't mind. What did get to me, though, was that she once again made me sing Under Mount Fuji on a loop. I had been singing that song from dusk till dawn every night lately. I was sick of it, and now she'd come to the club just to make me sing it more. I sang it again and again while she drank, one glass after another. At some point, she laid her head in my lap. I looked down at her face. In the flashing lights of the room, I could see a single tear track on her cheek. She had been crying. She had cried herself to sleep. After that night, Diana never called me in the early mornings again. I felt a strange sense of loss. I'd gotten used to it. Besides, without her calls, my income plummeted by $5,000 a day. Her sleeping in my lap in that private room was the last contact we had for a while. I didn't see her again for a month. Then, one night, she walked back into the Oasis. I greeted her excitedly, but she just gave me a dismissive humph and acted very distant. She requested Leo, and the two of them stayed in a private room until closing time. After my shift, the manager told me excitedly that Diana had spent over $10,000 on Leo that night. As I left the Oasis, I saw them outside. They were wrapped in a sweet embrace. It made me uncomfortable, so I just walked past. Diana noticed me and looked my way, but I pretended I didn't see her. The next evening, I was in the break room, changing when Leo walked in. He seemed to be in a good mood and actually started a conversation. Diana's actually a pretty great girl. I smiled. Better than your Miss Thompson. He sighed. As great as Miss Thompson is, there's the age difference. We're never going to get married. I can be with her for a few years, but it'll end when she gets bored. I pressed him. So, you're choosing the younger Diana? Yeah. Miss Thompson can't give me a real future, but Diana can. I'm not a kid like you anymore, Frank. I have to start thinking about what's next. Leo was always pragmatic, always making the choice that benefited him most. For the next few days, Diana came to the Oasis regularly for Leo. I watched them, a sour feeling in my gut. But she had made her choice, so I told myself to just forget about her. I threw myself back into my work. With all the emotions swirling inside me, I started pouring them into my songs, and my singing actually improved. More and more clients started requesting me. One in particular was Rebecca, the wealthy woman who had offered $888 to drink. She was only in her early 30s, very charismatic, and incredibly generous. All the guys at the club loved when she came in. Rebecca said she liked how I drank like there was no tomorrow and sang with so much passion. She said my company made her happy. She tipped extremely well, but she loved getting me drunk. The last few nights, she had requested me exclusively, and each time I ended up running to the bathroom to throw up multiple times. I felt awful, but seeing the transfer notifications on my phone, I just gritted my teeth and pushed through it. Frank, I told myself, you're here to make money, so stop whining. I was dizzy and stumbling as I left work that night. I nearly fell on the sidewalk right outside the Oasis, but someone caught me. It was Diana. Frank, what happened to you? Are you okay? Thanks, I'm fine. Let me give you a ride home. No, it's okay. I already called the car. Don't be ridiculous. You can barely stand. I can't just leave you like this. I was getting annoyed. Bolstered by the alcohol, I pulled my arm away. Ms. Hayes, you're Leo's client. We should keep our distance, okay? Just then, my ride pulled up. I ignored Diana and got in the car. The next night, Rebecca got me drunk again. I was stumbling to the bathroom, about to be sick, when I bumped hard into someone. So, before I could apologize, they slapped me across the face. The shock sobered me up a little. I looked up. It was Leo. "What the hell? Are you blind?" he snarled, his face contorted with rage. I was confused. We were co-workers. We got along fine. Why would he slap me for an accident? "You like playing the innocent victim, don't you?" he yelled, jabbing a finger at me. "Someone told me you were all over Diana by the door last night." I tried to explain, but he cut me off. I just went through her iMessage while she was drunk. I saw all those hours-long voice calls in the middle of the night. I saw that she took you out. "Well played, Frank. I thought you were just some naive kid, but you're a real snake, aren't you? Do you understand the rules here? You try to steal my client, and I'll have the manager throw you out on the street. You hear me?" I felt sick and my head was spinning. I couldn't even form a sentence to defend myself. I didn't dare fight back. He was the top host. The management would always be on his side. "Cat got your tongue?" he sneered, slapping me again. "Enjoying your drinks? Let me help you sober up and teach you a lesson about how things work around here." He raised his hand to hit me again, but a woman's voice cut through the air. "Stop." It was Diana. "Leo, what is going on? Why are you hitting Frank?" She was frowning, clearly upset. "Diana, you have the nerve to ask me that." Leo shot back, turning away in a huff. "You tell me you love me, but then you're sneaking around with Frank. What is that about?" "I'm not sneaking around with him," Diana said coolly. "I just paid him to sing for me." "Then why were you on the phone with him all night?" Leo demanded. Diana explained. "That was before you agreed to be with me. I had insomnia, so I found a substitute to sing me to sleep. I was mostly sober by now, and her words hit me hard. I couldn't believe it. All those nights I sang for her, all those things we talked about, and I was just a substitute? Logically, I had no right to complain. Diana paid me very well for my time, but for some reason, her words left a bitter taste in my mouth. I looked at Diana, but she avoided my eyes. Instead, she put her arm around Leo's and tried to lead him away. "Phoenix," Leo said, his voice hard. "If that's all it is, then delete his contact. Right now, in front of me." Diana froze for a second, then tried to placate him with a smile. "Come on, Leo, don't be like this. Let's just go back to the room, okay?" "No, delete him now. It's him or me. You have to choose." Leo had given her an ultimatum. His tone was so aggressive. I'd never seen another host speak to a client that way. He was the perfect example of someone who'd gotten arrogant for being spoiled. Diana had no choice but to take out her phone and delete my contact. Wow, she really did whatever he said. I felt a pang of something that felt a lot like hurt. Just then, Rebecca walked over. She looked annoyed. I'd been gone too long, and now she found me getting pushed around. It made her look bad, so she stepped in and said a few words on my behalf. Leo had gotten what he wanted and let off some steam. Not wanting to get on Rebecca's bad side, he dropped it. I splashed some water on my face, and Rebecca helped me back to our room. She handed me a wipe from her purse. "That Diana girl, you should stay far away from her. She's nothing but trouble." "Yeah," I nodded. "Thanks, Rebecca. I'm with you. She has nothing to do with me." Rebecca let out a silvery laugh. "My dear Frank, since you put it that way, why don't you quit this place altogether? You can just be with me." "What?" I stared at her wide-eyed. Rebecca continued. "I'll get you an apartment. I'll give you $60,000 a month, spending money. All you have to do is be with me. How's that sound?" I gave a bitter smile. $60,000 a month. It was impossible not to be tempted. But singing and drinking with clients was my limit. Going any further than that, I raised my glass. "Rebecca, thank you for sticking up for me back there. To you." I downed the drink in one go, my way of politely declining her offer. That night, I got home with my head spinning, but I couldn't sleep. She had deleted my number. She wouldn't be calling me in the early hours anymore. A strange sadness washed over me. The last time I'd felt this heartbroken was the night I found out about my sister's leukemia. Since then, I've been so focused on making money, so numb from the drinking, that I hadn't felt much of anything. But now that feeling was back. The next evening, I heard from my manager that Leo had quit. He was out of the game. He had Diana, rich and obsessed with him, a perfect safe harbor. Leo was decisive about it. He didn't just quit the Oasis, he also cut ties with Ms. Thompson. It looked like he was putting all his eggs in Diana's basket. Ms. Thompson was furious. She came to the Oasis and caused a huge scene, screaming at our boss and the manager. They were so angry they were talking about hiring someone to take care of Diana. I was a little worried, so I told Rebecca what had happened. She just laughed scornfully. "Don't worry, they can't touch Diana. The real drama is just getting started." I was curious about Diana's background, but I wasn't going to ask. As far as I was concerned, she was in my past, and I never wanted to sing Under Mount Fuji again. I was sick to death of that song. In the days that followed, I cared about only two things: my sister's health, and making money. Rebecca tried a few more times to convince me to leave with her, but I politely turned her down every time. But reality doesn't always give you a choice. One day my mom called. "Frank, your sister's taken a turn for the worse. She needs a bone marrow transplant immediately. The doctors say she only has 3 months without it." It felt like I'd been struck by lightning. Why? Why couldn't we have had more time? The marrow was ready to go. I was a perfect match for her, but we didn't have the money. The transplant alone cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that didn't include the cost of treating any potential complications like infection, bleeding, or rejection. I did the math. We were short at least $250,000. To be safe, we really needed $300,000. I had thought that if I worked myself to the bone at the Oasis for another year, I could save up enough. But now, with her condition getting worse, I was out of time. How was I supposed to make that kind of money in just 2 or 3 months? I was only making a few thousand on the nights Rebecca came in, and on slow nights, I might only make a few hundred. After I hung up, I grabbed my hair in frustration, muttering, money, I need it right now." Just then my phone rang. It was Rebecca. "My dear Frank, it's my birthday today. Can you spend the evening with me?" I wasn't in the mood. "Happy birthday, Rebecca." "Oh, Frank, are you feeling okay? You don't sound very happy." I need money." "Oh, is that all?" she said lightly. "I have money." Her words made my eyes light up. That's right. Rebecca had money. Should I take it? Did I even have a choice? I remembered what my manager told me when I first started at the Oasis. Trade your youth for your future. Now, I had to trade myself for my sister's future. That evening, I called in sick to work and went to meet Rebecca. She had booked a room at a top luxury hotel. Her intentions were clear. Over dinner, we started negotiating terms. Based on her previous offer, she'd give me $60,000 a month. I proposed a 1-year arrangement, and we could reevaluate after that. "Rebecca," I said, "I need the money urgently. I need you to pay for the first 6 months up front. Is that possible?" Rebecca laughed. "Well now, my dear Frank, you don't ask for much, do you? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, just like that. A member of my family needs surgery," I said, then paused. "And I'm a virgin." The moment the words left my mouth, I felt my face and ears flush hot. I had just sold off the last of my dignity. Rebecca stared at me, stunned. "You're kidding. Frank, are you really?" "It's true," I said desperately. "You can find out for yourself. If it wasn't for my sister, I would never." Rebecca's eyes suddenly grew intense. She abandoned her food, grabbed my hand, and pulled me upstairs to the room. You can imagine what happened next. The next morning, I woke up to find Rebecca lying on my chest. She was already awake, just quietly looking at me. "You're awake? Check your phone." I was still groggy, but I grabbed my phone. A notification. A transfer of $360,000. Rebecca tapped on her own phone, and another notification came through for $100,000. "Rebecca, I like you, and I feel for your situation. Think of it as a bonus." "Thank you. Thank you so much, Rebecca. For now on, you can just call me Rebecca." "Okay, good boy." She smiled and pinched my cheek, then leaned in for a kiss. "My dear Frank, I want you to go to the Oasis tonight and quit. And you need to delete all of your other clients' numbers. If you don't, there will be consequences." She said it with a sweet smile, but the threat in her voice was unmistakable. "Okay," I agreed. I had no choice. "And especially," she added, her tone suddenly serious, "you are to have no contact with that Diana girl. Understand?" "Yeah, we're not in contact anymore. Don't worry. She has Leo now." "Good. Let's not talk about her anymore," Rebecca said, her smile returning. "My dear Frank, you must be exhausted from last night. Get up. I'm taking you out for a big breakfast to help you recover." That night, I went to my manager and told him I was quitting. He didn't give me a hard time, but he seemed disappointed. That's a shame. You were just starting to build a client base." After Leo left, I was planning on making you our new top host. I didn't want to tell him about Rebecca or my sister, so I just said I was going back to college. The manager nodded. "Good for you. School is the right choice. This job, it's only good for a few years while you're young. By the way, did you hear what happened to Leo? Didn't he leave with Diana?" I asked, confused. "Well, that's the thing," the manager began. "It turns out, less than 2 months after he retired, Diana dumped him. The story is he took it so hard he fell into a deep depression and had to start seeing a therapist. He'd been in the business for years. You'd think he'd have a thicker skin than that." I was intensely curious. What on earth could she have done to him to cause a breakdown? And I couldn't figure it out. Diana had spent so much time and money to get Leo. Why would she dump him after only 2 months? I guess you can never predict what a volatile rich girl will do. I moved into the luxury apartment Rebecca rented for me. The place was amazing, and I was living in comfort. She usually only came over 2 or 3 times a week, leaving me with a lot of free time. With no more night shifts or heavy drinking, I started getting my life back on a normal schedule. I was going to be donating bone marrow to my sister soon, so I needed to be as healthy as possible. I started waking up early, going to bed early, and exercising again. One day, Rebecca took me to a gala. I was in a designer suit with her on my arm as we walked into the ballroom. The place was filled with high society guests, and the guest of honor, the center of attention, was none other than the Oasis's former super VIP client, Leo's original patron, Miss Thompson. It was her party. Soon, the event officially began, and Ms. Thompson took the stage to give a speech. She started by thanking her guests for coming, then gave an emotional retrospective of her decades-long business career. Finally, she announced, "And now, I would like to introduce you all to the successor of the Thompson Corporation, my beloved daughter, Diana Thompson." As the crowd applauded, a young woman in a stunning blue gown and perfect makeup walked onto the stage. When I saw her, I was completely floored. It was Diana Hayes. When she began to speak, I was certain. Her voice was the same. What was going on? Diana Hayes was Diana Thompson. She was Ms. Thompson's daughter. Rebecca leaned in and whispered playfully in my ear. "Well, my dear Frank," surprised. I needed a minute to process this. So, Leo was originally Ms. Thompson's boy toy. Diana is Ms. Thompson's daughter. Diana then stole Leo from her own mother, which is why Ms. Thompson threw that fit at the Oasis. Then Diana dumped Leo, and now, mother and daughter seem to be on great terms. Could it be that? I couldn't wrap my head around it. I would never understand how rich people think. I finally understood why Leo had a nervous breakdown. Who wouldn't after going through that? I excused myself to go to the restroom. When I came out, I saw Diana leaning against the wall in the hallway, a lonely expression on her face. The moment she saw me, her eyes snapped to mine. "You're with that woman, Rebecca?" I nodded. "Yes. Do you have any idea how pathetic it is? I finished for her. I need the money. And Rebecca is single. I'm not breaking up a family or ruining her career." "Oomph," she snorted. "I guess that makes you slightly better than someone like Leo." I shot back with a cold smile. "And what kind of person is that? Weren't you crazy about him? How much money did you have to throw at him before he gave in?" That's a laugh. Me like someone like him?" She scoffed. "Let's be honest. People like you will do anything for money. You have no shame. It's disgusting." Her words were like a slap. I had nothing to say to her. I turned to leave, but she ran after me and grabbed my arm. I turned back. "What do you want?" She bit her lip, staring at me, her eyes a storm of emotions. Sadness, anger, pain, helplessness. For some reason, looking in her eyes, I felt my own heart ache with a mix of feelings. "My dear Frank," just as we stood there frozen, Rebecca appeared. "What's all this?" "Miss Thompson, has my little boyfriend here done something to offend you?" Seeing Rebecca, Diana had to let go of my arm. "Frank, apologize to Ms. Thompson," Rebecca said to me. I just stared at her. Apologize for what? She was the one who came after me for no reason. Why should I apologize? I felt a surge of anger and, ignoring Rebecca, refused to say a word. I just set my jaw and stared at the wall like a stubborn mule. The atmosphere became incredibly awkward. Finally, it was Diana who broke the silence. "I'm sorry," she said. "You're my guests. I have been a poor host." She glanced at me, then at Rebecca, before turning and walking away, her jaw tight. When we got back to her place, Rebecca excitedly threw herself at me, covering me in kisses. "My dear Frank, you were magnificent back there. I absolutely loved it." I held her and asked, "How can Diana be Ms. Thompson's daughter? It's unbelievable." Rebecca said with a mysterious smile. "My dear Frank, would you like to hear the whole story?" From Rebecca, I learned the story of the Thompson women. Diana was indeed Ms. Thompson's biological daughter. Ms. Thompson's ex-husband's last name was Hayes. Years ago, when Ms. Thompson decided to build her business empire, they grew apart due to their different life goals. Because she was so busy, their daughter stayed with her father back home. After Ms. Thompson became successful, she divorced him. She never remarried, but she always had men around. When Diana was 15, Ms. Thompson suddenly decided she wanted her daughter back and went to get her. Diana's father, wanting his daughter to have a life of financial security, agreed to let her go live with her mother. But Diana's relationship with her mother was terrible. Even though she had legally changed her last name to Thompson, she continued to introduce herself as Diana Hayes. It was clear she resented her mother. Ms. Thompson knew she had wronged her daughter, so she didn't push it and just tried to spoil her. Since she never remarried or had other children, Diana was the sole heir to her massive fortune. A year ago, Ms. Thompson had set her sights on Leo and used her money to get him. Then, a few months ago, Diana began her aggressive pursuit of him, eventually winning him over with her youth and beauty. When her mother found out, she was so furious she nearly fainted. But in the end, she couldn't stay mad at her daughter. After all, with her money and status, she could find another man easily, but she only had one daughter. She was getting older and needed to start grooming Diana to take over the company. After getting her revenge on her mother, the rebellious daughter seemed to feel better, and the two of them reconciled. And that's why Ms. Thompson threw this gala, to formally introduce her successor to the world. After hearing Rebecca's story, I felt like I understood Diana a lot better. I understood why she missed her father so much, and I understood the logic behind her actions. She never actually liked Leo. She only pursued him to hurt her mother, to get back at her. No wonder she had said what she did. Me like someone like him? People like you will do anything for money. It's disgusting. In her eyes, I was just the same. A month later, my sister's surgery could no longer be postponed. I asked Rebecca for some time off. She agreed without hesitation. If you need more money, or anything else, just let me know, she said. Thank you, Rebecca. Of course. I'll be waiting for you to come back. She gave me a hug. It made me feel a sense of warmth, even though I knew our relationship was just a transaction, not love. She wasn't worried that I would take her money and run. That trust alone meant a lot to me. It's not easy to find people who trust each other these days. I took a bus back to my hometown and went straight to the hospital to see my sister. She looked so frail. She was thin as a rail. Her face was pale and her jaw was swollen. She was so weak she could only lie in bed. My parents had so much more gray hair. They looked like they had aged 10 years in the last 6 months. And me, on the outside I looked fine, but on the inside, I felt corrupted. One illness had turned our once happy family into this. That night, I told my parents to get some rest while I stayed with my sister. As I was scrolling through my phone, I saw a new friend request on iMessage. It was Diana. No, I guess I should call her Ms. Thompson now. The message said she wanted to hear me sing. I glanced at the time. It was exactly 3 a.m. She must be having trouble sleeping again. But I rejected the request. I couldn't sing for her anymore. Rebecca had forbidden it, and honestly, I didn't want to. I locked my phone and set it aside, staring out the window. But the melody started playing in my head anyway. I found myself humming it softly. Everyone has only 2 hands. An embrace can't grant you possession. To have something, you must first learn to accept loss. We once roamed a snowy path. Why weep when good things pass? Who can claim a mountain for their own just by loving it? Why not pretend this sorrow is a fiction of your own making? You won't find it staying in a test tube. The past hardens like a stone. Let it go and walk away. I am nothing special. In a city of millions, I am nothing. It was a shame. We could never go back to those nights of singing until the sun came up. I must have drifted off. I didn't wake up until I heard my sister's voice calling my name. I shot up, instantly awake. What is it? Are you not feeling well? No, I'm fine. Brother, I heard you singing last night. It was beautiful. Oh, did I wake you? No, I do nothing but lie here all day. It's not like I'm short on sleep. Brother, can you stay for a while this time? To keep me company? Of course. I'll stay with you. After a few days of prep, I was lying on the operating table. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. The transplant was a success. My sister's life was saved. The moment I heard the news, I let out a huge sigh of relief. Everything I had gone through had been worth it. The weeks flew by. My sister's recovery was going well, which was a huge relief. Now, it was time for me to go back and fulfill my end of the bargain with Rebecca. After the marrow extraction, I was in some pain and felt pretty weak. But I had a contract with Rebecca, and I'd already taken her money. I had to see it through. Besides, she had trusted me. I couldn't let her down. Without her help, I never would have gotten the money for my sister's surgery in time. When it was time for me to leave, my parents cried and told me, go back and focus on your studies. You don't have to kill yourself working anymore. If your sister needs more money, we'll figure something out. Mom, Dad, I will. Don't worry. I'm her big brother. It was my duty to help her. When I got back to Rebecca's apartment, I was still not feeling great. My immune system was shot, and I came down with a nasty flu that knocked me out for over 2 weeks. Rebecca couldn't help but tease me. I'm paying you $60,000 a month, and you take a month off, then you're sick for 2 weeks. I'm getting a terrible return on my investment. I laughed awkwardly. How about I give you a 20% discount on the next 6 months? Get out of here, she scoffed. Do I look like I'm short on cash? My dear Frank, you just focus on getting better. I need you healthy so we can have some fun, she said, pinching my cheek. She started making me soup and bringing me all sorts of supplements, and gradually I got my strength back. Around that time, Rebecca's business suddenly picked up. We spent less time together at the apartment and more time out at business dinners and events. I ended up drinking a lot on her behalf at these things. For some reason, she seemed to enjoy watching people get me drunk. The sicker I got, the more amused she seemed. I couldn't say no. I was taking her money. What I never expected was that I would run into Diana at one of these events. She seemed to have taken over her mother's role, dressed in a sharp pantsuit and heels. She carried herself with a calm, professional air, like a CEO. The girlishness was completely gone. That night, with Diana in attendance, Rebecca seemed particularly energized. She not only had me drink for her, but also kept sending me around to make toasts to all the other guests. Of course, that included a toast to Diana, the new head of the Thompson Corporation. "Ms. Thompson," I said with a practiced smile. "To you. I'll finish mine, but please drink at your leisure." I downed a glass. She just looked at me and said, "Frank, you should slow down." Then she turned to Rebecca. "Rebecca, why are you making him drink so much?" Rebecca just smirked. "Because I feel like it. He's mine. He drinks when I tell him to drink." I could feel the tension between them, thick and hostile. I had no choice but to keep drinking. I drank until I blacked out. When I woke up the next morning, Rebecca was sitting at the edge of the bed, smoking a slim cigarette. That rookie Diana may have stolen my business deal, but I'm the one who has her precious boy. "Who's her precious boy?" I asked, stretching. She looked at me with a knowing smile. "Who do you think?" After Diana took over her mother's company, her business rivalry with Rebecca intensified, and my life got progressively worse. When Rebecca was stressed, she liked to take it out on me in creative ways. And she always took pictures afterwards and sent them to Diana. I guess it was her way of playing mind games. "My dear Frank, do you want me to keep it?" she asked. I was stunned for a moment, but my mind cleared quickly. There was no love between us. This arrangement was never going to last. We couldn't bring a child into this to suffer. "Rebecca, our contract doesn't include having children." She smiled teasingly. "I can always pay you more to add that clause." "Rebecca, stop joking," I said seriously. "You're not thinking of doing this just to get at Diana, are you?" Rebecca froze for a second, then laughed. "My dear Frank, is that really how you see me? As someone that vile?" Since I didn't agree, she had no choice but to go to the hospital, and I went with her. She didn't seem happy about it, though. Not long after, Diana sent me another friend request. The message attached read, "Leave Rebecca. Stop degrading yourself. If you need money, you can come to me." I ignored it and continued to honor my contract with Rebecca. I stayed with her until our year was up. She was leaving the city. She had lost the business war with Diana and had to start over somewhere else. Before she left, she asked me, "If Diana comes looking for you, will you go back to her?" I gave a bitter smile. I was never with her in the first place. Besides, she won't come looking for me. I'm going back to finish my degree. "My dear Frank, you're so innocent. I'm really going to miss you. I might come back to find you one day when I'm missing you," she said, pinching my cheek one last time. "Goodbye, Rebecca. I hope everything works out for you." She gave me one last look, then walked through the security gate. A few days later, I went back to my college, only to find out that because my leave of absence had exceeded a year and I hadn't filed the right paperwork, I had been automatically withdrawn. I could never go back. With no other options, I returned to the Oasis. It was the only way I knew how to trade my youth for a future. I would work as hard as I could while I was still young to make sure I wouldn't be destitute later in life. A year later, Diana walked back into the club and requested me. By then, I was a true professional. No more shyness or awkwardness. I could put on the professional smile, provide the professional service, without any personal feelings involved. Diana was more mature, too. She had the air of a powerful executive, every bit the new Ms. Thompson. She drank with me easily, and the atmosphere was relaxed. After a few drinks, she said, "Frank, sing a song for me." I knew exactly what she wanted. I went and queued up under Mount Fuji. The familiar melody began, and I started to sing. "The rain that blocks the path is like snow. Are you cold as you weep? I've worn this coat for you until it's frayed at the seams. I'm not afraid of changing my life, so why do I still care? I chose this day of all days to drive you home. Forgive me for not bringing flowers. A wound needs to form a scar. I'm only afraid when my heart's graveyard is covered in petals. If you'd marry no one but me, we'd both end up as ash. A lifetime of waiting for a single day comes at a cost." Diana sat on the sofa, her legs crossed, listening with an unreadable expression. The young girl who had cried herself to sleep in my lap was well and truly gone. When the song ended, she didn't ask me to sing it again. "Frank," she said, "I'm getting married next month." I froze for a second, then managed to force a smile. "Congratulations. He must be a great guy." She stared into my eyes for a long moment. "Have my number back," she said. "I'll send you your tip." I shook my head. "No need. You could just add it to your bill at the front desk." The light in her eyes seemed to go out. "You don't want to be in contact with me anymore? Do you want to become your mother?" I asked in return. She stared at me, stunned, a look of disbelief on her face. But she quickly recovered, said a polite goodbye, and walked out. After she was gone, I put on Under Mount Fuji one more time, just for myself. I sang it over and over. After that night, Diana never came to the Oasis again. I spent my nights there, drinking glass after glass, singing song after song. But I never sang that song again.